Is the superintendent here today? Put your hands together, please, for Superintendent Message.
So can I ask you your name again?
Michael A.V. Mitchell.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Mitchell. I ran into Mr. Mitchell down here and I went, I'm not the only one dressed up in this shirt and tie. You made me feel good, so thank you. Now I got to go behind you, which is a little tough, but I'm going to do my best. It's going to come from my heart. So I think everybody is really struggling with what we're seeing, and we've seen it for too long. We've seen it for way too long, and we got to make a change. But it's got to come from the heart. People have to be able to believe it, see it, know it, and then take action. A couple of things that really hit me very hard is when I saw what was going on, just like all of us, just like the gentleman said, you got to be in the living room and you got to talk to your kids. And I know as superintendent, we got a lot of conversations we have to have with our kids when they come back to make sense of things. And I'm struggling with it myself, and I'm an adult, so you know, how do I make sense of it? So as I'm watching things and I'm thinking about all of this that's going on, I keep coming back to love thy neighbor. We got to love our neighbors. And Jesus didn't tell us to love our neighbor, but he didn't tell us love our neighbor but this, but that. He just said love thy neighbor. And I believe we've got to do that. We got to work hard on it every day. I don't have much to say because I came more to listen. Because sometimes we fail to listen. And I have failed many times to listen. And sometimes you can't learn until you listen. And that's a failure that I have made. I think that it's a failure that we all failed at sometimes. But I need to listen more. So as I started to read and think about conversations I needed to have, and conversations I need to have with myself first, before I spoke to my children and to others, I started thinking about love thy neighbor and walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. Because I probably haven't done that enough. And I need to do that more often. So I saw a colleague's post on Facebook. He's African American, he's about my age. We have a lot in common. We talk about sports. We have a lot of light conversation. We talk about work. And he put on a post that really bothered me because he's an avid runner, loves to run. And he would love to run in the morning. But he's had this fear that if he runs, somebody's going to call the police and he's going to look like a burglar. Now, he had never told me this, nor had he ever told anybody else except for his father. And he felt ashamed about it, that he would have these feelings. And then, as you know, a few weeks ago, he watched something unfold that told him his fears were validated. It really bothered me because I'll be honest with you, if I'm running in my neighborhood, I've never had to worry about that. And I need to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes and understand their situation. And that really changed me. The second one is when I thought of the conversations I have to have with my child, I heard the conversation from another gentleman. He's a father like me, a child about my same age, a son about my son's age. And he says it was so hard for him to have the conversation. And he just described the conversation he had to have with his son. And it broke my heart because his conversation was so much tougher than mine. It had to be so much different. And how he had to explain to his son about how he had to be more sensitive about how he handled himself because he could be misunderstood because of the color of his skin. And you know what? He was right. And it really hurt me. But maybe the saddest part about it is, he said, you know, many African American men know this. They call it the talk. They call it the talk that they have to have with their sons. And he says what's really sad about 2020 is he can remember the talk 40 years ago. So it's been too long. And we need to fix it, and we need to fix it now.
That's right.
So I ask of you we need to keep conversations, we need to keep moving this part. This is a small step in the journey today, but it's a huge step. And I'm appreciative of all the people coming out and being here together, united around a cause that we need to fix. I believe that there is a solution to every problem. And this is the start of the solution. And I know for me, I need to listen more than I speak. As a hint to you, I'm about to be quiet. I want to leave you with something, because sometimes I've seen on TV, and it really disappoints me and it hurts me, because sometimes people put out a bias or a stereotype, and it was around protest. As if these protests are unpatriotic. America was built on protest. The most patriotic people that you'll ever claim to be believe in protest. That's what makes change. And what you're doing today is just as American as it has been throughout the history. So I want to leave you with this. September 11th, I was teaching in New Orleans. And I see what you see on TV. I'm trying to make sense of it for my students, but I'm lost. This world is crazy, and I'm watching what happened to the World Trade Centers just like you. I leave and I drive home. I pass the New Orleans airport. There are no planes in the sky. There's nobody on the highway around me. I'm sort of alone. And I go home and I'm searching for comfort. So when I say love thy neighbor, I go see my neighbor. He was a World War II veteran. And he was as patriotic as anybody I ever knew. But he always had conversations with me, and he says, you're doing the right thing, you're in education, you have the ability to change. And he said, you have a chance to right the wrongs. We've done a lot of American citizens wrong for way, way too long. And he goes, it starts with you. He goes, I'm getting old, but it starts with you. But he said, here's when our nation will be the greatest nation on earth. When people believe that they have a voice, that they have a power, and disparity is gone, they will believe in this nation as much as I do. But we're not there yet. So I ask of all of you, let's keep working together to indeed make this nation what it can be. And that's through hard work, listening, dialogue, and I'll end with this. Love thy neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you.